Good afternoon, everyone. This is Carmen Hernandez with the National Weather Service in Atlanta, Peachtree City, here for your weekly weather briefing for the week starting May 8th. Getting into your weekly summary, May 8th through May 14th, we're looking at quite the active start to your weekend, with today being a risk level of 2 with a slight risk for severe across North Georgia and Southeast Georgia. Then Friday, we have a marginal risk for severe storms and also marginal risk for flooding across central and eastern Georgia. Then we push into Saturday, into the weekend and early next week, where our focus turns from severe weather towards more of a flooding concern, as we have a marginal and then 2 slight risks across portions of central and eastern Georgia. And then we get to Tuesday with lingering heavy rainfall concerns at a level 1, and then Wednesday trending drier, but uncertainty still remains. It's kind of that time of year where we're kind of seeing weather pretty much every day. So our weather highlights, we're looking at large hail up to 2 inches in diameter and damaging wind gusts over North Georgia this evening, which we'll dive into here in the next few slides. And then waves of rain expected through early next week, leading to potential flooding concerns, which we'll also get into. And then a drier signal towards mid to late next week to round out the week. Taking a look at our current conditions, you can see on this image to the left that low pressure system over southeast Missouri, and that is going to be the main emphasis for our severe weather today as it pushes eastward into the Carolinas and Tennessee in the Virginia area. And as you can see also on this map is the fog that was around this morning that has since dissipated, leading to more clear and sunny skies, which is also going to aid in the instability for this area ahead of these severe storms. Then looking at the image to our right, you see that front over North Georgia. It's going to be also the emphasis for this severe weather, and this could push a little further into Tennessee, but that's going to be our main area we are watching for the severe storms today. So taking a look at our rainfall chances, mostly confined to North Georgia through 8 p.m. and then increasing through Friday 8 a.m. as we see more of these scattered storms come into the area with rainfall as well. Taking a look at our severe weather outlook for today, we're looking at overview of scattered storms pushing into North Georgia and pushing into portions of central Georgia, but mostly North Georgia through this evening, with large hail up to 2 inches and damaging winds being the main threat. And then also we see a slight risk over portions of Toombs County in southeast central Georgia today. That's going to be more due to the sea breeze activity as it moves from the coast inland, but the North Georgia part is where we're looking at more of the hail and damaging wind threat. Our peak timing is between 6 p.m. and 1 a.m. Those storms may continue into the overnight hours and likely will, with our detailed threat information showing a level 2 out of 5 for large hail and damaging winds, with large hail up to 2 inches, potentially higher, and damaging winds 60 plus mile per hour. We are looking at an environment that's not overly favorable for tornadoes, so we're at the low risk on that, although the environment is favorable for large hail and damaging winds with sufficient instability and decent lapse rates out there with cooler air aloft. Diving in a bit more to our severe wind and hail outlook, you see here with the wind outlook pushing basically where that slight risk was. Again, we're looking at damaging wind gusts 60 plus miles per hour possible, and with this we have an environment favorable for this with a decent amount of shear and instability. But looking at our hail outlook here on the right, we're really looking at that hatched area, as you can see that SPC has introduced for our hail, large hail up to 2 inches diameter or possibly larger, and this is the main area we're going to be focusing on for that, but other areas south of that area could still experience large hail in these areas as the environment still remains favorable for this. So rain chances, we're going now into Friday into Saturday morning. This is when we turn more towards a central and eastern Georgia type event, wherever you can see those rainfall chances. 50 to 70% chance over central and southern Georgia there, with limited rain chances for portions of North Georgia. So looking at our severe weather outlook for Friday, one more day of potential for severe storms, we're looking at scattered to widespread showers, so showers across that area, but we're looking at isolated thunderstorms embedded in those scattered to widespread showers that could push into central Georgia from the south as that low pressure over the Gulf moves eastward. This will result in the potential for damaging wind and small hail possible according to the SPC outlook. Our peak timing looks to be 5 p.m. to 2 a.m., but again, it could possibly go later into the overnight hours, but the further removed we are from peak heating, the less likely we will have severe weather in this area. So looking at the detailed threat information, we're looking at levels 1 out of 5 for large hail and damaging winds. We're mostly expecting small hail and damaging winds potential up to 60 miles per hour, but overall the threat will be decreased tomorrow than it was today. And again, not really looking at the environment for tornadoes, so our risk remains very low with that. Moving into Saturday, we start to see increased rain chances 70 to 85 to 90%, and this is coming as we turn more into a flooding risk into the weekend. We're looking at Saturday into Sunday morning over central and eastern Georgia. This is our marginal risk that I was talking about for excessive rainfall. At this time, it's mostly areas along I-20 and southward and south of Athens into, this is going more towards the Gulf Coast as well. So we're expecting those waves of precip to come in. Our forecasted rainfall totals aren't overly impressive at this point over Saturday 24 hours at, as you can see, lower amounts in North Georgia, and then up to 1.5 inches potential, maybe up to 2 inches, isolated 2 inches for southeast central Georgia. So we want to emphasize that rainfall totals may change and are probably likely to change a bit depending on the track and speed of the low moving across the Gulf Coast, but overall we're expecting a rainy weekend for now. Turning into Sunday, you see again that emphasis on central and eastern Georgia with those rain chances, although rain chances could spill into North Georgia Sunday night into Monday morning. And then looking at Monday and Tuesday, as we're kind of going to combine Sunday through Tuesday into the same kind of talk that we're going to talk about. But Monday and Tuesday, looking at those rain chances, you start to see them Monday push into eastern and then northeast Georgia as that low pushes off to the east, off the coast finally. So we're looking at our heavy rainfall Sunday through Tuesday. So currently WPC's excessive rainfall outlooks only go out till Monday. We'll see what they do for Tuesday tomorrow. But here is our day 4 and day 5, Sunday and Monday slight risk, which is level 2 of 4 for excessive rainfall. We're looking at that central Georgia area, mostly southeast of Macon, and then transitioning into that eastern Georgia area. So these are our rainfall totals Sunday through Tuesday. So we're looking at about a 48-hour rainfall total here, and you can see on there lower amounts towards the north, up to 1 inch, maybe isolated up to 2 inches in some areas. And then we kind of have a boundary that moves just northwest of Atlanta, and then on the eastern side of this, we're looking at areas of 2 to 3 inches, and then towards southeast central Georgia, looking at 3 to 4 inches. This is what we have currently. We want to remind you again, like we did the others, these amounts are likely to change as uncertainty remains on amounts in the gradient of the precipitation. But basically, we're expecting several waves of heavy precipitation to move through the area Sunday through Tuesday as that low pressure system over the Gulf moves eastward. So our impacts, basically, we're looking right now at areas of central and eastern Georgia. They're at a higher risk of excessive rainfall and potential to lead to flooding, but right now, with these amounts and being south of the fall line, most of these areas can handle this amount over this time frame. But if we do see an uptick in area or somewhere sees a locally higher amount, that could lead to some flooding concerns. This time we're holding off on the flood watch, but we will look at it more in the next couple of days because again, uncertainty remains on the amounts and gradient of the precipitation. So overall, just keep an eye on the situation. and expecting kind of a rainy weekend into the beginning of Tuesday. And want to emphasize kind of there's a low chance 10% for amounts close to 4 to 5 inches through Tuesday. This is kind of looking at our high end amounts that are current for that 48-hour time frame. So up to 4 to 5 inches. So we're not too far off from the high end amounts. Again, this could change, so please keep an eye on this. So taking a look at our current drought conditions, this kind of plays into the last slide that we had here. We did see recent rainfall seeing some improvement to drought conditions across much of Georgia. We did see the D0 portion over the metro kind of go away this week, and then also kind of scale back just slightly in some areas of central and southern Georgia. But conditions still do remain dry in South Georgia, and this is going to aid in what we were talking about before over where these areas can handle more rainfall, with our flash flood guidance being higher in these areas. So that's why we're not as concerned, but still keeping an eye on the flooding risk, as we are still outlooked in a level 2 out of 4. So I'm going to wrap it up with our high temps through the weekend into early next week. We're looking at slightly above normal temp values through Friday for today and tomorrow, reaching into the mid 80s over much of the area for both the days, though North Georgia could see highs in the 70s, and again slightly above normal. Then we're looking at cooler temperatures for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and this is aided by a wedge that's going to build into northeast Georgia Saturday into Sunday. That will result in those lower temps, as you can see, in the 60s. And then also this increased rainfall over central Georgia is going to limit the amount we could heat throughout the day, and thus leaving us in the 70s over central Georgia for highs and 60s over much of North Georgia. Then looking into Monday and Tuesday, we begin to start heating up again, but not overly so. You can see the remnants or the wedge on Monday over northeast Georgia, where you see that green area with 60s for the temps, and then over central Georgia starting to push into the upper 70s, and then to Tuesday pushing into the 80s again. But overall, again, cooler temps over central Georgia in the area due to increased rainfall. So going over our weekly summary one more time, as we talked about, we have slight risk for severe across North Georgia and portions of southeast central Georgia and Toombs County. And then Friday, more of a marginal risk for severe and flooding, as that transition day into more of the flooding risk into Saturday and Sunday happens. Again, Saturday, Sunday, Monday looking at more of a flooding risk, with slight risks on Sunday and Monday, level 2 of 4. And then lingering rainfall concerns on Tuesday, and then Wednesday trending drier, but uncertainty remains as always. Weather highlights, again, large hail up to 2 inches and damaging wind gusts over North Georgia this evening, and then waves of rain expected through early next week, leading to flooding concerns, and then a drier signal towards mid to late next week. As always, if you have any questions or need any clarification, please contact us through any of these methods, and we will get back to you. Thank you for listening in to our weekly briefing. Hope you have a great weekend.